you by Haps TV. Now, if you haven't done so, before we get started, make sure you subscribe to Haps TV. Download the app. You can download it right on your mobile devices. It's absolutely free. As you can see, I have it. And you get coins when you log in. I got quite a few. Well, you get coins when you join. Then you also can, the more you broadcast, if you're a broadcaster or if you watch, you'll get coins. And like me, I use that to support other broadcasters. So if you're out there, go ahead and support the show. You can support the show for as little as $3 per month. So Draymond Green. Oh, and guess what? I just got another 1,000 coins. So shout out to Haps for giving me 1,000 coins. So Draymond Green, folks, he is, for those who do not know, he's one of my favorite NBA players. I like the fact that he is gritty. He does all the dirty work. When you look at him, he has the pulse of the Warriors organization. And everybody talks about, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Yes, we know they are the superstars, but Draymond Green is the heartbeat of that organization. He is what keeps everybody going. When stuff go bad, he mentioned this on the All the Smoke podcast. When stuff go bad, he went to Kevin Durant. He went to this one. He went to that one. He recently did his post-game press conference, and he mentioned something that was bothering him. And this is what you call utilizing your platform and utilizing your voice. He told the truth. Quite frankly, he said, look, y'all know it's not fair for a player to sit out there and be told he's going to get traded and he can't do nothing about it, or we're going to sit you on the bench until we trade you. He's talking about the situation with Andre Drummond, and he mentioned the fact that he brought up James Harden. People call James Harden all types of names and whatnot, and he said admittedly James didn't do himself any favors. So that's what I like right here. He went ahead and looked at it on both sides. Didn't just bring up what he did, but he looked at it from both sides, both points of view. So when he brought this up, he talked about how when players request trades, it's an issue, but the owners or governors, whatever you want to call them, can say, you know what, we're going to trade you, and then they're supposed to deal with it. Now, you've heard players talk about moving their lives, right? Because that's the thing. As fans, a lot of times they get mad at teams or players for not being loyal. Why aren't you being loyal to my team? Why aren't you being loyal to the team? This is the city that made you. But team officials will get up there quickly and trade a player. Look at Adam Jones, Baltimore Orioles, played here in Baltimore for years. Not only did he play for the team, but he was well versed in the community. They wanted him to waive his rights so he could get traded, and he wouldn't. So when free agency time came, he played elsewhere. A lot of us didn't like it. Fans didn't like it, but he had that right. It's a business. It's a business at the end of the day. Terrell Suggs, the Ravens wasn't going to give him the money that he could get elsewhere. So what did he do? He went somewhere else. But Anthony Davis told New Orleans that he wasn't going to re-sign, that he would like to be traded. He was tired of, essentially tired of losing. All of a sudden, that's an issue. A lot of people didn't like AD. Called him all types of names, the whole nine. And guess what? How is that fair? How is that fair for Anthony Davis? Because he would have played, let's just say he played all those years there and never won a championship. But then the moment something new come along, what are they going to do? They're going to ship him out. They're going to ship him out. There's no other way to look at it. They're going to send him elsewhere. So I look at that and I'm like, people get mad at Draymond Green, but everything he said was true. I try to tell people there's no loyalty in sports. You can think it is. Those days are over, folks. There's no loyalty in sports. I tell fans, you have a right to jump teams. Everybody wants to talk about this thing about being a fan, and you're a bigger fan here, you're a bigger fan there. I believe fans have more of a right to choose to switch teams than anybody else because at the end of the day, the players are getting paid, but it's the fans that are paying the organization. And what I mean by that, they're the ones spending their money on the tickets. They're spending their money on the merchandise. They're buying whatever the advertisers are selling. So you mean to tell me that that's an issue that if let's just say you're a fan of a team and they're not winning, then you say, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna go move on. Come on now. That makes no sense. A lot of people like to criticize fans. They say, oh, you ain't a real fan if you move on. You're not a real fan. What's a real fan? Fans have the right to move on too. That's why I respect Draymond Green. I always did because I always looked at Draymond as somebody who keep it real. You know, I got a show on the wrestling round called Break It Down with Brian H. Keeping it 100. That's what Draymond Green does. He keeps it 100. You know, he will tell the truth. And like I said, he's utilizing his platform. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Shout out to Nigel Watson tuning in. Um, he said he spoke facts. Shout out to Mike Patton. Thanks, Mike, for the Got Talent Award. I appreciate that. You know, I'm always gonna ride with the players. Did I like LeBron James' decision going to Miami? From a fan perspective, no. I would be a hypocrite if I said, "Oh, I absolutely loved it." Did I like Kevin Durant going to Golden State? From a fan perspective, no. But if I take off the fan hat and I put on the business hat, if I put on the man hat, totally understand it. Love it. Cause you control the standard. Draymond may give triple singles on the court, quadruple singles if you count tax, but dude kept it 100 in his statement. Double standard is real. Look, Mike, I said this earlier. Draymond Green is one of my favorite players, and simply because he has the pulse of the organization. You don't win not one championship on those Warrior teams without Draymond Green. Don't believe me? Look what happened when he was in that game 6, and you know that allowed the Cavaliers to come back. But even then, you know, I remember when his first contract came up, when they won their first championship, you saw how it was, you know, and I'm glad he utilized his voice. You know, I'm glad he was able to explain that because that's the problem, you know, and Draymond's always been that way. You know, he mentioned when a reporter brought up the fact that, you know, I think he used a term, they were flooding them with threes, and he was trying to be funny. The reporter was really trying to be funny. He brought up the fact that the Warriors were just defeating Houston, right? I appreciate that, Ted Hicks. Thank you so much for the award. They was beating Houston, and it was like it was raining threes, and it was a flood. And he tried to make a joke, and Draymond called him out on it. He said, "No, don't do that. That's not cool. You can't do that." And when I look at this scenario, I see the double standard. Yeah, he spoke the truth. And fans, you know, we like it. And that's why I said he's great. This needed to be said. This needed to be said. Why can't I don't understand the word tampering. Tampering makes no sense to me because guess what? If a player is going to a team, they're gonna go there regardless. If and they'll find a way. They'll say, "Oh, Magic Johnson couldn't tell." Let's just say he couldn't tell. Hey, yeah, we're looking at Anthony Davis. So because he says that and he gets fined, that's going to stop the fact they're looking at Anthony Davis. No, he could get one of his young boys, somebody that nobody knows, to go talk to somebody that nobody that knows Anthony Davis. You can't stop tampering, and I don't think a player should be fine. And I think what I love about this generation of the NBA is we're seeing a lot of players more vocal about things, and it's changing the game. It's changing the guard. We're seeing players really take back their voice, you know, and really, I mean, they're making more money than ever before. So I don't think now is like maybe before they were scared of losing endorsements, but to each his own in those situations. But now having a guy like Draymond Green come out and say, look, this is a double standard. This needs to be addressed. That's huge. That's huge. He's one of the stars of the league, no matter which way people may think, no matter which way you think about the way he plays on the court. He's a star in this league. He's a voice. Funny that both teams sit in players until they trade them. Both have awful management, Pistons and Cavs. He brings up the Pistons, Mike Patton, that is. Blake Griffin, you know. And at the end of the day, when they do sit these players, what they're essentially doing is protecting their assets, right? And Bill Rhoden wrote the book. I think it's 40 million or $50 million slaves. And when he talks about that, it's talking about the players being slaves. You got these billionaire owners, they treat the players, talk about, okay, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't play this during off season. Well, I think it was Patrick Mahomes was playing basketball and they said, you can't do that. you know, they're protecting their investments. So I like this. I like the fact that Draymond Green said something. This had to be said. At the end of the day, this had to be said. Players deserve to have a voice. Players deserve to speak up. And if the NBA wants to take players, yeah, exactly. Hashtag property. That's exactly the way they're being treated. Hashtag property. And they don't belong, it's they get people. Yeah, Bill Rhoden is the man. He always gives me some advice and a swift kick in the behind when I talk to him. Yeah, shout out to Bill Rhoden. He's in the Morgan State Garden of Fame for the communications. But so I'm looking at numbers as my TV is on. Remaining contract, Andre Drummond this year. Well, he's got 28.8 million dollars owed this year. Blake Griffin, 36 million this year and 39 million next year. A lot of money. It's a lot of money. And they figure, hey, we pay you, so shut up. What's her name? Laura Ingram. She want players to shut up and dribble. And again, there's so many double standards in sports. This is what the NFL don't have. They don't have guaranteed contracts. That's ridiculous. Most dangerous sport, and they don't have guaranteed contracts. William C. Rhoden, for those who don't know. Exactly, Ted. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I want to see what happens. I want to see. I personally would like to see the tampering rule thrown out. Let the players control where they want to go. Let the players control where they want to go. But make them honor their contracts. But if they say, "Hey, I'm tired. I want to be traded," okay, trade them. But don't sit up there and find these players for being vocal. People want the truth unless it's not what they want to hear. At the end of the day, folks always say OPP in the sense of naughty by nature, but OPP sounds like the players not oppressing themselves in their career, but the owners, so other people property in a sense in the NBA and other sports. Mike Patton cooking with grease today as he hit that one right on the head. Hit it right on the head, folks. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to happen the rest of this year. Hopefully, Draymond doesn't get any extra technicals. But I think he also does this because he knows Draymond. I feel, and I could be wrong, but I look at him being vocal. I say, well, he knows he's a champion. He's made quite a bit of money, so he doesn't have to go out there and tick tack, tick tip tap. And maybe he still would be this vocal. Not saying he wouldn't, but I like the fact that he is this vocal. He knows his voice carries weight, so that's going to be interesting as we see what happens. Also, in sports news, Anthony Davis out for the Lakers. This absence, it means something, but I don't think it's going to slow the Lakers down. LeBron James says he's concerned about him being healthy. Rich Paul said there will not be any rushing Anthony Davis back. Look, the Lakers are going to the playoffs. I don't see them collapsing. They still got the best player in the world in LeBron James. So I do not see this team collapsing down the stretch. How about the Knicks? Not Julius Randle just out there balling. That's always fun to see. And so I think then when the Knicks are good, I always say when the Knicks are good, it's good for basketball. So I want to see what can they do, what kind of wins they can pull together. Also, so yeah, more players need to be vocal like DG, even though they won't. That coming from Ted Hicks. Mike Patton says Draymond's gonna get text. That's a given. Yeah, we know. He's vocal. It was like Rasheed Wallace back in the day. You knew Rasheed was gonna get his technical fouls. Little NFL news. Well, nothing like breaking, but we do. The last time I was here, it wasn't reported. Well, excuse me. Let me back up. Last time I was here, I didn't discuss J.J. Watt. He is now a free agent. And that was another thing. People looking at Deshaun Watson for saying he wants to be traded, or his camp saying he want to be traded. It's all, they try to make these players bad for saying, hey, I don't want to play here no more. I don't want to play here no more. I want to play somewhere else. When you want to go get a new job, you go apply. And if you're a broadcaster, if there's a contract situation, you figure it out. Let these players do the same thing. Let's stop holding them crazy. But yeah, we got the NFL, JJ Watt. Definitely look like he has a lot of gas in the tank. Would love to see him here in Baltimore playing for the Ravens, playing next to Calais Campbell. Shout out to my sister Tarika Foster Braisby, who brought that up on man, I forgot her show, the name of the show on the Undefeated. But she brought that up. Campbell and Watt. And then you had the Watt brothers going at it head to head every year, twice a season. Of course, TJ wants his brother in Pittsburgh with him. Man, that's cute. Nah, bring JJ here. Figure out a way to get it done. Eric DeCosta. Also in the Ravens news, Orlando Brown Jr. wants to be traded because he wants to be a left tackle. Jonathan Ogden chimed in and said it's about the money. It's about the money. And shout out to Mike Patton. He got Aaron Wilson of the Houston Chronicle Thursday. He's going to be here. Aaron Wilson used to write for the Baltimore Sun, used to cover the Ravens. So shout out to him. He's going to have the scoop on what's going on down there. But yeah, so it's so interesting, this whole Orlando Brown Jr. situation, because I like him. I like the kid. His dad played here. And he rocks the Oriole gear. I guess he's a Baltimore sports fan, but I understand, like, you want to play, you want to get as much money as you can. So by all means, go get the money. I won't be one of the people that's like, man, he shouldn't want to get traded. It would have been nice to see him build here and build that line. And maybe this is a decision he may regret later. But then again, maybe he's thinking about his pockets. Obviously, unfortunately, his dad is no longer with us, but he knows his dad played football and, the whole money situation. So, but this is what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what's best for you. Players don't owe anybody anything. They owe themselves. They owe themselves. Go get as much money as you can. Go, and if you want to get traded, be vocal. Cut the crap about, they shouldn't say this or they shouldn't say that. I've been there before. I probably said that a couple of times. And Mike said it. Orlando wants what he wants. I get his point monetarily. He is thinking about his pockets and the position he plays. Do you little O? Of course, you would say that. You don't want him in Baltimore. You know what happens. Him and Ronnie Stanley. Everybody says, Ronnie Stanley's better. He's the top tackle in the league. We know that. He got hurt. So it makes and it would be nice to see the Ravens reward him, but I'm pretty sure, it's just hard to see paying a tackle that much money, or the right tackle that much money. So we'll see. But folks, that'll do it for this episode of the Main Event Status Sports Show. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. I'm also on Twitch now. Got to connect it to my Twitch account, which you can find at bwaters24 on Twitch. Make sure you download the Haps Media app. If you haven't done so, subscribe to all my podcasts, Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings. I just had Marquette King, all-pro punter. We discussed him being one of few black punters in the league. Also, his relationship with the very first black punter in NFL history and their bond. And of course, we talked about him playing on the Oakland Raiders. At the time, they were Oakland Raiders and the Denver Broncos. So until the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. Goodbye and good night.